Howdy folks, I'm Neat Narwhal, narrowly nearing noisy nuisances.
I'm Amber.
And here are more noisy nuisances for us to near by going, but I have it written as nuances down, so it was very confusing for me to read that tongue twister. And folks, we're having a live stream on Friday. For more information, please see the end of the video. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I the jerk for throwing out my wife's old lingerie that she hasn't worn in over 5 years? I'm a 30-year-old male, and I've been with my wife, a 26-year-old female, for 6 years. Married for 5. When we first got together, I noticed that she had quite a collection of spicy underwear, like over 20 pairs of thongs and G-strings. However, shortly after we started dating, she completely stopped wearing them. Despite this, she kept all of them all these years in her underwear drawer. We got this relationship app to help us better solidify our marriage. Not that it is in a bad place, but to make it easier, especially in the bedroom. Due to the app, I have been trying to spice things up in our relationship. I've suggested date nights, romantic getaways, and even hinted at her wearing some of the lingerie. Even though she says that she wants to do more and try, it's just been met with the same stuff. Last week, trying to get ahead for the summertime, I went through our clothes. I've been doing it for the last 5 years or so, and my wife is okay with it. If I have any questions about something, then I'll take them aside, and I'll let her decide. Well, while cleaning out, I came across her old underwear in a drawer. Seeing all those underwear and thongs and G-strings just laying there, I just ended up tossing them, seeing as how she hasn't worn any of them once. Plus, it cleared out a ton of room, so we could now get her new underwear for the summertime. Well, a couple of days later, when my wife came to me, she was angry while I was playing some video games. She asked me where all of her thongs and G-strings went, and I tried to play it cool, like, I don't know, they're your undies. Eventually, I caved, and I admitted that I'd thrown them out, seeing as how she hasn't worn them in years, and I doubt that she'll wear them anytime soon. She got even angrier and started yelling about how she was planning on wearing them, or just because she hasn't worn them in a little while doesn't mean that I have the right to throw them out. Some were expensive or gifts, and that's why she had kept them. I tried to explain my reasoning, but she wasn't having any of it. She called me controlling and said that I had no right to make a decision about her belongings. She ended up storming out. She called her mom and sister to vent about it, like she always does when she's upset. I tried apologizing. Seems like those undies were more important to her than me at this point. I don't think that I did anything wrong here, considering the fact that I've tossed clothes that weren't as old and some that she's never worn. Alright folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you are a major jerk here. Let me count the ways. First of all, you threw away your partner's possessions without their consent. It sounds like OP normally has a process of setting things aside for a little while so she can decide if she wants to keep them or not, and just completely abandoned it because we all know that he knew what the outcome was.
Yeah.
Then he gaslights her. Like, if he thinks what he's doing is above board, why would he try lying and be
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't know, it's your underwear? He knows what he's doing is not okay.
Yeah.
And on top of that, this whole, well, it seems like that underwear is more important than me now. Excuse me, if someone were to throw out your possessions without your consent, wouldn't that upset you?
Yeah. Well, he's making it seem like this was a trivial thing when this wasn't a trivial thing at all. And I think that he owes her deeply an apology,
Mm-hmm.
for one, but also I think he crossed a major line here.
Yeah.
Like, he's admitted that in the past he's asked her when she's about things that he's thrown out before throwing them out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he didn't give her that same courtesy here. So he can't just play the victim when he's the one who is being the person who is unreasonable here, right?
Right. Well, and I think this shows a deeper issue of him feeling entitled
Mm-hmm.
to her in that way. I am entitled to see her in these. If she's not going to wear them for me, then she doesn't have any right to have them.
Yeah, that does feel like that. It really does feel like that.
Like, I mean, sometimes those kind of underwear can even be practical for specific items, like if you don't want a lot of lines showing through. So
Mm-hmm.
like it may be not so much something she wears for other people's entertainment, but something she wears for her clothes to make them work better. And sometimes they just give people a confidence boost, you know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have like a favorite pair of underwear for like, lucky underwear for like a presentation or something like that. Not everything revolves around pleasing men.
Yes. I have a lucky pair of underwear that I wear to a lot of events, but people always look at me so strangely when I walk around with them on my head. I just don't understand what people have a problem with it. I just tell them they're lucky underwear. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Folks, we got a lot of stories to cover today, so I'm going to skip the comments. Hopefully that isn't too bad for folks. All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Give Up My Grandfather's Rifle to My Brother? My grandfather was a huge part of my life growing up. He taught me how to hunt, respect firearms, and appreciate the history of them. Before he passed away, he gifted me his old hunting rifle, which has been in our family for generations. It's not worth much, money-wise, but the sentimental value is priceless to me. My older brother, a 35-year-old male, was never into hunting or firearms. He even used to mock me and my grandpa for spending so much time outdoors. But recently, he's gotten into gun collecting as more of a hobby. And now he wants my grandfather's rifle to display in his home office. When he asked for it, I said no. I told him that this rifle means a lot to me because of the time that I spent with our grandfather. And it's not a decoration to me. He got mad and said that as the eldest, he should have inherited it. Our mom took his side, saying that I should be willing to share family heirlooms, and that he just wants to honor his grandpa's memory in his own way. Our dad, who went hunting with my grandpa and I, took my side. Agreeing with my dad, I refused, saying that he never cared about it until now, and I don't want it collecting dust in his office, when I actually use it and I cherish it. Now he's barely speaking to me, and my mom keeps making passive-aggressive comments about me being selfish. Am I the jerk? Edit, I feel like I've downplayed the price of the rifle. It's an early production Winchester 73. So to a collector, it's worth a good amount, but for this gun, I don't view it as a collection piece. But I do build firearms, and I have two that are upwards of $5,000 that are considered relics. A World War II M1 Garand and a Vietnam War M14. But with those, I acknowledge their value. I can't see monetary value in my grandpa's rifle because I grew up hunting with it. It was shot at every range trip that I went on with my grandpa. All that overshadows any monetary value of the rifle. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, the rifle was given to OP plain and simple, and I think it's very clear what the grandfather's wishes would have been. He was someone who used this as, a rifle for, shooting and whatnot, not to have it as a display piece. Opie's brother wants it to be a display piece, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to have things to display, but you can't just go to your family members and be like, okay, that's mine now.
I agree with the brother to some degree here. And I think that OP should do the right thing and give the rifle to their father, who should inherit it because he's the son of the grandfather. So, and now the father can decide what to do with the rifle from there. And if you give that to OP he does, then that's what he does. I think that this whole thing is just absolutely absurd. He's collecting rifles to let them gather dust. OP uses this. It's a tool. It's absurd that he's trying to steal this away from OP so that he can just put it into his mantle so that he can be like, this is my rifle that my grandfather used to use to go hunting. I think I mocked him for it a lot, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but it just seems very bizarre that he would even want this rifle at this point in time.
Well, because it's probably also partly because it is worth some kind of money, OP indicates. And so he wants to have this so he can display it, but also have the monetary value if he needs a pinch of cash.
Yeah, I say he should go find his own hunting rifle.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping him from finding a similar model, but he'd have to pay for it. He wants it for free.
Yeah, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Give My Late Husband's Expensive Watch Collection to My Brother? My husband, Mark, passed away unexpectedly 2 years ago. Losing him shattered me. He was my best friend, my partner in everything, and I still struggle with grief. One of the few things that brings me comfort is his watch collection, something that he was deeply passionate about. Mark spent decades curating his collection. Some were vintage, and some were rare finds, and a few were incredibly valuable. I'm talking about a collection worth tens of thousands of dollars. But more than the price, these watches mattered to him. Each one had a story: a promotion gift to himself, a birthday present from me, a piece he hunted down for years. Since he passed, I haven't been able to part with them. They still sit in the case that he used to open every morning, like a ritual, picking up his watch of choice for the day. Recently, my younger brother, Ryan, a 37-year-old male, asked if he could have them. Not one watch, the entire collection. I was stunned. Ryan never particularly was close to Mark. He liked him fine, but they didn't really have a brotherly bond or any deep connection. Ryan isn't even a watch enthusiast. He wears a cheap watch that he got at Target, and he never has shown interest in Mark's collection before. When I asked him why he wanted them, he said that he thought that it would be a nice way to keep Mark's memory alive, and that since Mark was like an older brother to him, he should have something meaningful to remember him by. I told him that I wasn't ready to part with them, and he immediately got defensive, saying that they were just collecting dust, and that Mark would have wanted him to have them. That comment hit me hard because Mark and I never discussed passing down his collection, let alone to Ryan. When I refused, Ryan got angry and told me that I was being selfish and that I was hoarding things that I would never use. He even hinted that I was letting grief turn me into a miser, hanging on to expensive items instead of sharing them with family. Since then, my parents and sister have been pressuring me to reconsider. They keep saying that it would be a beautiful tribute and that it's unfair for me to keep everything when others want a piece of Mark's legacy too. Money.
Yeah.
My mom even suggested that I at least give Ryan a few since I can't wear them all. But that's not the point. It's not about the money or use. It's about what these watches meant to Mark and mean to me. I'm not hoarding them out of greed. I'm holding on to them because they're one of the last tangible pieces of my husband I have left. Now Ryan is barely speaking to me, and my family thinks that I'm being irrational and possessive. But shouldn't I get to decide when I'm ready to let go? Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk? And how many ways is the watch collection going to be split between OP's family?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think this is a very obvious cash grab. If he wanted something sentimental to remember to remember Mark by, I'm sure there's something that's not monetarily valuable that he could have. It's very obvious that they just want the money out of this. They're looking at selling the collection and pocketing it, and I'm sure that is not what Mark would want.
No.
I'm sure he would much rather have the watches stay with his wife, who appreciates them, than to have them stolen by her greedy family and sold off.
Yeah, I think that OP is perfectly fine with holding onto this watch collection and letting it collect dust. I mean, if she's really that worried about it, take out a watch every once in a while and wear it, right? I mean, maybe it'll make you even closer to your husband in that respect. And I think that this is just a horrible thing. It's clear that it feels to me like this is a money grab.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I don't think it's anything beyond that. Ryan is going to pawn them off one by one, and the family is going to stand behind him and let him do it because they're going to also benefit from Ryan's selling of the watches. And that's the only reason that they're saying, oh, you're just being greedy, because they are being greedy.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it is OP's possession. Like, are they greedy because they're not giving off their possessions? They probably have things they've inherited or received as gifts or things like, that they didn't personally buy themselves. You don't have to buy something with your own money although some of these OP did buy as gifts for her husband, it sounds like. But like, it's still OP's possession, and it's not like she's hogging all the money in the world or something like that.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not giving my money to my aunt so that she can buy my terminal grandmother a nice handbag? I am a 27-year-old female and struggling to make ends meet. I barely finished college and I have struggled with menial jobs since. My grandmother is dying and probably has only about 6 months left. It's obviously sad and I'm spending a lot of time with her, but at the same time, it's the cycle of life. Well, my auntie suddenly wants to spend a ton of money on getting my grandmother something that she's always wanted, a designer handbag. The entire point is that grandmother never got to spend money on something so frivolous for herself, and she always wanted a nice handbag. Auntie started asking the family to pitch in for a nice bag for grandmother. I turned her down and said that I love grandmother, but I can't afford extras right now. I couldn't even buy Thin Mints from my niece. But my aunt is one of those people who wants to sit there and go over every single mistake that I've made just to drive the point home that you've made some bad decisions and now you're facing the consequences. Like I don't already know that. So she tried to drill me about what I spent my money on, trying to poke holes for some kind of gotcha. Like, do I have streaming services? Do I get Uber Eats? Do I have a brand new phone? Do I get Starbucks? Do I have any new clothes or jewelry? Why am I not spending every free moment on a side hustle if things are so bad? I told her that I am spending time with grandmother and it's more important than spending $6,000 on a handbag that she won't even be able to use, and to stop bugging me because I said no. My sister hasn't necessarily taken Aunt's side, but she has been saying stuff like, you sound defensive and maybe Auntie has a point. I don't know. I'm sorry, I know it's callous, but I think that it would be wasteful to spend that kind of money on something that she won't even be able to use after this year. Am I the jerk for not giving Auntie money? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. This sounds like another cash grab. Who's going to inherit the designer bag after
Mm-hmm.
grandma passes? It seems like she's collecting money from a bunch of different sources and then she's going to be like, well, blah, 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 insert reason. This bag is mine now.
Yeah, I think that this is really where it's going. It feels very much like a cash grab. So she can get the expensive bag after grandmother passes away and just be like, well, I took the time to organize it, so I deserve it in the end.
Right, or I'm the oldest, or any number of things.
Yeah. So I think that OP is absolutely right. Spending time with her grandmother is more important than a handbag. And that's really what this boils down to. Your grandmother is going to appreciate time spent with her far more than a handbag. Plain and simple. She will. That's the greatest gift that you can give to your grandmother. And if it isn't, then maybe you shouldn't hang out with your grandmother. I don't know. That's mean. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And folks, we have our update from my ex-husband's ex-work wife has started a smear campaign. So we read this one yesterday. We read the update to this one yesterday. Basically, OP and their husband have reconciled to some degree. He had a work wife that he was having an emotional affair with, and they've kind of arrived at an understanding with each other. But in the meantime, he cut off his work wife, and now she is mad. Hi Reddit, we are continuing our work wife saga. As a lot of you predicted in my last update, Sarah wasn't happy about my husband ending their friendship and trying to put distance between him and her. I seriously thought that she was going to reach out to me, but she never did. Why? Because this was never about me. I was not even on her radar except for somebody to tear down. I will give Sarah one thing. She is extremely efficient. She started her campaign long before Monday morning. Over the weekend, she reached out to several of my husband's coworkers, mostly male. She told them that my husband had randomly stopped being friends with her, and she suspected that it was my fault. She said that she couldn't believe it. Everyone knew how close they were. She just felt bad for him, wanted to be a friend for him, and hopefully help him out of a terrible marriage. She went on and on about how she couldn't believe how much this was going to affect her during their working hours and that she didn't know if she can continue working at this job. One of the female workers at my husband's job messaged me all of this. As a lot of you predicted, she is gearing up to accuse my husband of sexual harassment. Monday alone, she has put herself in the path of my husband multiple times. It kind of feels like she's setting up a he said, she said type argument because she's doing a lot of odd things, at least according to my husband. Think stuff like intentionally following my husband into a room or a section of the office that is somewhere closed off, accidentally emailing him or forwarding him things, going to his cubicle multiple times a day for no reason, sitting close to him at meetings. It seems harmless, but really feels like she's gearing up for something. My husband did go to HR first thing Monday morning, and like I kind of thought, they pretty much said that they can't do anything unless it affects work or working hours. His HR is not the greatest. He did let them know what she was doing today, but honestly, I don't think they took him seriously. We've been thinking about moving. The only thing that keeps us here really is his mom. So he might just transfer jobs. We're really not sure. I hope things don't escalate anymore, and since he went to HR already, I'm hoping that nothing big happens. I would like to give a little update about our counseling to all the people who tell me that I'm making a mistake by giving my husband another chance and trying to work it out. I'm so happy I didn't listen to you. I understand that it was a terrible situation. I lived through it. I know it is. I know how it felt. But counseling has revealed a lot about my husband that I didn't know. Apparently, he was bullied severely in high school, and he kind of went through a little glow up when he went into college. Sarah is definitely one of those stereotypical blonde pretty girls, and my husband admits that he did kind of like the feeling that he finally got his chance to be popular in a social setting. My husband admitted that Sarah basically mirrored everything about him. His likes, his dislikes, she talked to him like he walked on water. It definitely sounded like she was boosting his ego in a manipulative way. Like I said, I understand that this isn't just a forgive and forget and move on kind of situation. But hearing my husband talk about how it felt and the way that it affected him made me have a lot more sympathy for him. I still haven't come back home, but we're doing it one day at a time. I went and I had lunch with him on Monday, and we're going to do it again today. I'm trying to be there for him so he doesn't feel alone. I'm really ready for all of this to die down. I'm hoping that it doesn't get taken further at work, but if it does, we'll deal with it. And to add, a few of you are questioning how we got a counselor so fast and over the holiday weekend and blah blah blah. I didn't think that I needed to address this, but I guess I will. Me and my husband are religious. Not like ridiculous religious, but we do go to church here and are very active, and we decided that we wanted counseling through our church. All right, folks, what do you think?
Wow. A little bit of a doozy here. I mean, I do think that OP's husband should probably document everything that's going on, but I also think that OP is losing sight of her husband's role in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like there could be a number of reasons why Sarah is doing what she's doing. It could be that she's just trying to entice OP's husband. She feels like she's losing that connection to him and is trying to entice him back. So, yeah, she could be trying to have some kind of sexual harassment suit. That's a possibility and document, but she also could just genuinely trying to be getting him alone because she doesn't understand how she's lost her power over him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably more likely the situation, especially with what she said to the other coworkers.
Yeah. And so, and like where OP is like, oh, well, like talks about her being manipulative. It takes two to tango. Like, yes, sure, he was feeding off his ego boost, but he was an active participant in all of this.
Yeah.
And he actively deceived OP. He knew what he was doing was crossing boundaries, but he liked the attention enough to deceive and manipulate OP right back.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a great trait to have empathy and to have compassion for the people you love, but don't let that cloud your judgment. Remember that he did manipulate you and that Sarah is not some evil witch
Yeah.
out here manipulating this poor hapless man. He
Yeah.
made active choices.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that I think is well said. I mean, he isn't some hapless man who's just being, bewild by the woman here. He had a choice in all of this, and he made his choices, and he has to live with those decisions. Sure, he might have liked the attention that he got, but that at that point in time, maybe he should have come to you and talked about it. Like, where were you in all of those kinds of discussions? And sure, those can be difficult things to talk about. Like, being bullied isn't a fun thing, I think we've all been bullied at one point in time or another in our lives, but that doesn't give anyone an excuse to go ahead and just say, well, I was bullied once, so
Yeah.
now I'm going to go and do X, Y, and Z, right?
Well, that's actually a really important point you bring up because a lot of people have things in their past that weren't great and that they've had to work through. And you cannot use your past trauma to excuse bad behaviors. It may explain them, but you can't use it as a get out of jail free card.
Yeah. And so I think that it's kind of baloney, to be quite honest, that he's here playing his world's smallest violin type of situation, being like, I'm poor me, pitiful me type of thing. No, no, no. I mean, he was an active participant. Sorry, it's you just have to take responsibility for your actions at a certain point. And it sounds like OP isn't just like rushing into things, but hopefully they don't actually just go ahead and rush into things and rush to forgive him here.
Right. Well, and I'm glad they have a supportive church community, but I might also recommend a secular therapist. Someone who might be a little more
Impartial.
yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, even if you, even though counselors are supposed to be, impartial and whatnot, if you're going through the church, it might not be as impartial because, like, you're a member of the church. These people know you, and they might be biased towards not necessarily your best interest, but keeping the relationship alive, right?
Or even just they can't be. The important thing about having a counselor is that they are impartial. They have no background information on either of you. They do not have a preconceived notion of you.
Yeah.
Your pastor already has ideas of who you and your husband are as people, and may be more willing to brush aside issues because of how they perceive your husband to be.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has an oh so funny joke that she wrote.
What might a bunch of baby fruit call their grandmother?
Oh, I know exactly what a bunch of baby fruit might call their grandmother. They might call her Fruity because she is fruity. I mean, she's not a fruit herself. She adopted a bunch of grapes, and now she's running around and telling everyone that they're her grandchildren. But they're grapes, and they don't speak, and everyone's just wondering when they're going to reveal this to her because it's not a good situation. Last week, one of them turned into a raisin, and it started singing songs. It started singing, I was born on the grapevine, and that was weird. It was a very weird cartoon.
Banana.
Banana? I don't remember.
The baby fruit. It's a bunch of bananas, and they would call their grandma Banana.
Oh, I see now. I get it. I get it.
And today's National Banana Bread Day.
Oh, so folks, go find yourself a banana bread. They grow on trees in bunches, or so I've been told, according to the mythology. Or you can bake a banana bread. I mean, they're not too bad. They're pretty easy to make. But be sure to share with a friend. Don't eat the whole thing in one sitting. Unless it's a very small banana bread. And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy special Sunday, folks. I hope it was as special for you as it was for me. And you know what makes it special? You do. And Amber does too.
And Brian does too.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it on property.
You are not entitled to other people's possessions.
Unless you're a thief and you come and steal them, because then possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, no. This is Brian's valid advice.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye. Brian reporting live tomorrow from jail.
It's very cold in the cell. Howdy, folks. I'm Neat Narwhal, nearing. Howdy, folks. I'm Neat Narwhal, narrowly nearing. Howdy, folks. I'm Neat Narwhal, narrowly. Howdy, folks. I'm Neat Narwhal, narrowly nearing noisy nuisances.
So close.
Howdy, folks. I'm Neat Narwhal, narrowly nearing. Howdy, folks. I'm Neat Narwhal, narrowly nearing. Howdy, folks. I'm Neat Narwhal, near. Howdy, folks. I am Neat Narwhal, narrowly nearing noisy nuances.